I am really glad I talked about this with Christina today. Christina's dad is chief of police for many years, and her brother is a military guy. And it was really great to hear her perspective on these protests. I'm having a hard time processing them myself. I don't know. I feel very helpless. I feel like I don't know what I should be doing other than protesting. And I feel like I need a plan. Like I need a plan. I need to know what I'm supposed to be voting for. I need to know where I'm supposed to be giving money. I need a plan. And I need a leader. I need someone to get behind. And that none of that has become apparent to me yet in these protests. And I guess Christina and I were going to talk about something entirely different today, and neither she nor I felt that was right. So we talked about what's happening and how we feel about it, and really how helpless we both feel about it, I think, and how much we want change to happen. And I'm really willing to do whatever, tell me what to do and I will help in any way I can. But this is a crazy time, and there's so much. Our country is so incredible and shameful at the same time. We're the strongest country in the world, and we have this shit happening. It's ridiculous. It's unacceptable. It's out of integrity. It's without purpose. And I don't like it. I am a very patriotic person. I've always been really proud to be American. And I am not proud at the moment with this issue. This issue makes me ashamed. And it's not even anything I've done personally, but I represent, being a white person, some of these behaviors that are just deeply upsetting and saddening and frustrating, and make me really angry. So I feel afraid to talk about stuff because I feel many things. I feel like I don't have a right to talk about anything because I am a white person. This is a Black person's moment where they should be heard and supported. They should be supported in what they're feeling and in what they need. It's not even a want. I don't think obviously they want this to stop, but they actually need it to stop. We need it to stop. It needs to stop. There's a big difference between a want and a need. A want would be great. That would be nice. A need is a necessity, and it needs to stop. This police brutality and oppression of the Black community in education and in opportunities. And I sometimes just can't believe that it's still happening. I can't believe that we are still this behind. For such an amazing country, we're really behind. So I don't know that we talked about that per se, but we definitely talked about what's going on in the world and how this is affecting businesses and how it's affecting people. And I thought it was a good conversation. It's definitely one worth having. I even feel bad posting this podcast. I don't feel like anybody should be talking this week about anything other than how do we change what's happening. And I guess I do have a conversation about that, but it just doesn't feel like enough. Here's my podcast this week with Christina Rumbley, or Christina Stratton. I call her Rumbley because I've known her as Rumbley my whole time I've known her. And we talk about these protests and what needs to happen from our very small, very limited perspective. I say that with humility and honesty. I don't know as much as I should about all these issues, and I don't like that. And I wish there was someone I could talk to who could just tell me everything I need to know. And I wish someone would show up and say, here's the plan. And then I could go, let's do this plan. Because, I'm a list maker. I'm a taskmaster, and I need a plan. I hope that what you get from our conversation is maybe hearing some people who feel like you do, where we feel like we're not really sure what we should be doing, but we definitely want to do something. I hope that you get something out of this podcast, because I got something out of my conversation with Christina, and I hope that you do as well. And I guess that's all we can hope for, is that we keep talking, that this doesn't go away until change happens, and that we just keep striving to speak from the heart with the intention of helping and healing each other and people we don't even know. And I think if we all can come from that intention of making the world a better place for everybody, then I think we'll be on the right track. So anyway, here's my podcast with Christina Stratton talking about this protest and what's going on right now.
Hold on.
Is that a donut?
Does a bear shit in the woods? It sure does.
It does. Looks like a
not
donut.
Just any donut. Do you know this? This is the
Entenmann's
white trash crack. You got it.
Heck yeah. I bought the same yesterday, but the powdered version for my 13-year-old.
Well, the powdered on a black shirt is bad.
Yeah. Chocolate's the way to go.
I'm stress eating, emotionally eating,
because
my drug of choice.
The Entenmann's donut.
Every time. The waxy substance, so good.
I can't really cut that up. I have no negative to say about that. It's a good choice.
It's a pretty good choice. I'll take it. Hold on.
So you boarded up your business.
Yeah, I didn't do it in LA because I'm not out there to oversee it. And so my team, I've had my managers going to our Silver Lake and Santa Monica location basically every day. And so far, I don't think there's been anything damaging yet. So praying that stays. I don't own those units, that building. So, it's scary because if anything, oh my God, just looking at the roots.
You look great. Don't even worry.
Yeah, it was, we own the unit that we're in Nashville. And really, I never thought, that's why I posted that I posted on Facebook. I tend to not post anything very rarely about anything that could become polarizing because I'm not, my personality may be polarizing sometimes, but where I stand on certain things. And, I also have to be mindful of the audience that's listening and reading and looking. And, I have moments where I go, God, I wish I could say that. Mm-hmm. Or without knowing that I'm going to get beat up from one side or the other. So I kind of have to go, what can I do or say that will allow me a place to, express also. And that's when I wrote on my thing. It's just, I'm just sad. Yeah. There was just a sadness of, the range of emotion, right? You go through the sad, the fear, the anger, the hurt, all of those, and just landing sad and just being sad for everything, sad for George Floyd, sad for the injustice of that, sad for good cops, because I grew up, my dad was chief of police and I grew up with cops my whole life. Sad for those that want to have a voice, may not feel they can have a voice either because of, that pressure that they feel all the way around, and just sad for business owners after coming not even out of COVID, in the middle of a pandemic, which is like, I don't know, not very often we have those.
No, thank
God. I
God.
know how to react to that with our kids and having tried to explain this and then explaining racial inequalities and the system that feels so oppressive to so many, and saying that as a white woman, a middle class to upper middle class white woman, I feel like, how do I speak to it without having the inside of me going, shut up, shut your mouth. You need to be there, support. How can I? How do I financially support? How do I help with what I can do in the voting booth? How do I maneuver the voice that I have into the good that it can do? And also listen to those and that are angry on both sides and say, how do we bridge this gap? Because I didn't grow up.
Yeah.
And I think you're from the South and I grew up in the South, and it's weird. I was telling a friend of mine, like, I wasn't raised, there wasn't color conversations happening, racial, and we weren't talking about it. The first time I ever had an emotional reaction because I saw it was when Rodney King.
Yeah.
When I saw Rodney King getting beat up and, moving to LA and the LA riots. I mean, that was very scary and scary because I felt paralyzed. I didn't know what to do. Right?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yes, I feel that way too. I feel like, I think people say silence is not the way to go, but I also don't know what to say.
Without putting in your mouth or saying, you know what I mean? Like having a great, healthy dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, I want this not to happen ever again either.
Yeah.
I want no one to die needlessly, no matter what, but especially from police brutality.
Right.
And I don't want a culture of people to feel like they are less than, because this is the greatest country in the world. Right. And we suck at a few things.
Yeah.
We're
suck at many things. We suck at a lot of things, right?
We suck at education. We suck at race equality. We suck at gender equality.
Right.
We suck at a lot of stuff. And I mean, I feel very helpless and I feel very voiceless. I feel afraid to say anything because if anything I say, even if my intention is the right thing, I feel not woke enough to say the right thing.
Right.
Because I'm not as woke as the super duper woke people. And,
and to even say woke.
I know, right? And is that a huge irresponsibility on my part? And I don't know, like my trainer is Black. He's from Louisiana, but his parents are from 30 minutes from my hometown, small town, Georgia also.
Yeah.
And I worked out with him this morning and he talked to us. I work out with 3 other white women that are all in their late 40s to early 60s. One of them is in her early 60s. And,
the ones that need the most, us 40-year-olds, the working out women, the ones who need it.
Well, one of the ladies said, I just want to listen. I want to know who is the right person to listen to and then support that.
Right.
And I went, yeah, that's right. And they started asking him questions, which I thought were really important because I've said, I think this movement needs a leader. Like it needs a Martin Luther King Jr. It needs a person that is a national leader, because what's happening is all these things are happening in these individual cities, but nothing's happening nationally except that everyone is rioting nationally or protesting nationally. But there's no cohesion that I can see. Maybe there is, and I don't know about it.
No, but that's true. People are saying right and left, where are the voices? And they'll blame the president, and I agree. I don't want Trump to get up there and speak. Please, you're going to put your foot in your mouth.
No, he's the wrong person.
Please. I mean, and look, Obama's one of the best orators. He is the most.
Where is he? Where is he? And I know he's tweeting, but someone needs to take a microphone like Killer Mike did in Atlanta and say, people, this is what we need to do. And you in Atlanta and you in Memphis and you in Chicago.
Where's the community leaders of those groups?
Yes,
African American and white. Like get them all together. Yeah.
But no one is, I can't see that anyone's doing that. And I don't think it can be a white person. It has to be a Black person. It has to be.
We can't speak to.
Actually, this is what Mikhail said to me today. He said, it has to be a Black person and it has to be someone who's been through the life. It can't be one of the ladies I work out with said, what about Magic Johnson? And he went, no, it can't be Magic Johnson.
Can't be an athlete.
No, he said it can. He said it could be LeBron James. It could be Jay-Z. Yes, it could be Jay-Z who came up. It could be LeBron James. And he said another guy's name that he was supposed to text me because I was like, you've said this name and now you're going to pummel me for an hour. And I'm not going to remember.
And I'm going to forget. Yeah. Yeah.
But he was like, those are the types of people that came out of the streets and became something else. That's the only people we will listen to.
I would love to also hear from African-American cops, leaders, cops in the community because I often wonder, if that video, if the day had been different and it was a Black officer who did that, I wonder, because there's been shootings, obviously, if anyone's being apprehended in something and they fear for their life or not, or they're just naturally bent that way and they feel that either empowered, the cop does. And that happens, we know, but it's hard because you look and you're like, how many cops are there in the United States? Okay. Right. And if we take the emotion away from it, you go into statistics. Mm-hmm. And I saw someone had posted this about the statistics of, Black on Black crime, white on Black crime, white on white cop killing. And there was all these statistics and you're like, but statistically though, what throws all the statistics out the window is, but overall, we haven't been oppressed. So that's the biggest nugget that I think when anyone's trying to give an opposition conversation to it or saying, let's look at it 360, I think when they start to look at 360, it almost reduces your validity when you try to bring a statistic, when you go, you weren't a slave and you didn't own you're not me, not you, not even not anyone that I know in my relative history.
Doesn't matter
because at the end of the day, as we know, cells feel cells in our body. On a wellness woo-woo topic, like they have memory, and I think that is genetic. It's DNA. It's nature, nurture, all those, but on a deep, deep subliminal level, I cannot imagine. I just remember being at Florida State, and my dorm mate was this Black girl. She was so awesome and taught me so much because, I was around Puerto Ricans and Cubans. My best friend was Cuban growing up. I mean, my first boyfriend was Black. His name was Forrest Jackson. My mom was like, what? And then my second boyfriend when I was older was Filipino. So I kind of have always kind of grown up. You see race.
Not seeing color. Yeah.
I see
not
it.
Really.
No, with really. Person, and I've never said the N-word. I just, it's just, it would never come out of my mouth, but I wasn't raised where that was a normal conversation or even playing around like that. So it's just interesting to me. I just never saw it. So when I went with her, she wanted to teach me. So I learned a lot about African-American women hair. She would wear this bandana on her head. I'm like, why do you always have a bandana on your head at night? And she was like, girl. And she was always smacking her head. I said, why do you smack? She goes, because it itches. I said, why? She's like, because it's the processing I have to go through. She took me to her salon. I got to go through the process of it with her. I was like, what a pain in the ass. She was like, yeah, but that's why we always are trying to look our best. Then I went to FAMU for 6 months, which is an all Black college, went to Florida State. And then we had 6 months, you had to be at a communications program that was over at FAMU. Incredible. I walk in, I got my Birkenstocks and Daisy Dukes and a hat on. And they were just like, and no, you look like trash. Like, cause they were to the nines, man. Hair, makeup, nails done, I was like, well, all I have is my Daisy Dukes, 95 South, and I'm like, hey, and they're just like, okay, white girl, sit down. I just learned so much, and she taught me. We went into the mall, and she said, I'm going to take you in. Wet Seal was the store, and we went into Wet Seal, and she goes, I want you to see what it's like to be in my shoes, and I was mortified because I worked at the mall when I was growing up. How she was treated, wanting to try on clothes, and how this little white girl was following her around the store like she was going to steal.
Wow.
And said to her, I'm so sorry, we don't have any rooms available. She wouldn't let her try on clothes. And, Chantel, she had an attitude too. She clicked it back. She was just like, oh, okay. She would give it right back. Well, no shit. I would too. So then she goes, now I want you to go in. And it was literally like 5 minutes later, I walked in. All smiles. They're talking to each other, ignoring me. Can I want to try this on? Sure, no problem. I was so like, I wanted to fight. Like I wanted to hurt that girl. So of course I'm like, my friend was just in here and she's black. And I went crazy. And my friend was like, yeah, but it's okay. Sorry. Because we're doing a little experiment. I bawled like a baby. I just was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, it's not your fault. But she goes, but I'm just trying to show you. And I went, it's bullshit. Rah. Then I took a criminology class at Florida State and learned a lot about the war on drugs and crime and how the white collar crime turned into the inner city black crime. And it was crack and cocaine. Yeah, it's mixed a little differently, but at the end of the day, the felony is the felony, and how that war on drugs really became a way to put pressure on and control a population. And when you learn that stuff, I think it does change.
It does.
Your empathy level. And so anyway, so in these situations, and unfortunately there's just been too many of them, and it was like a tsunami coming. You got a pandemic, everyone's feeling out of sorts, out of control.
Pent up,
angry, sad. Are we going to have any money? Like everyone, I don't care who they are. What I don't like seeing is a movement, a moment, a sadness, an anger, a revolting get hijacked by criminality. That's what I
agree.
That's what it is. When people are coming and when, from wherever the conspiracy theory is, whether it's the right, the left, it's the anarchist, it's the Antifa, it's the white supremacist, it's this, that. Or if it's just plain people wanting to get theirs and come up and have a handout and be like, screw you, I'm going to get the man. I am the man then. And when I'm the man, because I own a business, no one cares about your story. No one cares how you got up. No one cares what you gave and who you hire. And the fact in LA, literally, there may be one white person that works for me. Everyone else is either Thai, Black, or Spanish. Out of like 70 people, but again, that's where your voice, you feel like, it doesn't matter what I have to say because everyone's going to boo-hoo, shut your mouth. And I get that. I'd feel that way too. I said to my husband when this happened, I said, if I was a Black man, I would be on fire right now, angry. I would not know. I wouldn't know how to remove the chip. I wouldn't know how to do it without wanting to hurt something, hopefully not someone. And I see that. And businesses can be rebuilt. It's just on a really shitty time because I don't know if those businesses can be rebuilt. Not a lot of them.
Because of the pandemic.
Of course.
I agree.
Vandalism sucks. Listen, we got a little bit of bullshit tagging. You can paint that. Who cares? We boarded up my spa because it was like, hey, that's a 1900s building. I don't think I can ever replace that bay window. And look, if you steal the candles inside, or I was actually more worried about water damage.
Yeah.
Because if there's a fire that gets lit, you get water damage, we're done. We're toast. Yeah. Call it a day. And a lot of insurance doesn't cover vandalism of any kind of protest.
Wow. I didn't know that. I mean?
Yeah, it depends on the kind you have. And usually the coverage is so small because you're thinking theft. You're thinking someone's going to just steal something inside your business, not looting and rioting. If it's during a riot, there's been a lot because of the LA riots and because of Watts, because of a lot of riots that have happened in our lifetime. Insurance companies are like, yeah, pandemic, no, and rioting. Great. But who knew? I would, if you told me in my business, you might want to get that coverage. I'd be like, how much is that coverage? There's going to be a pandemic. Okay, go smoke your weed later.
Right.
Oh, a riot in Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay.
You're crazy. And then all of a sudden, here we are, bored and
I know, right?
Yeah, I felt, we weren't scared at all. But, when we were doing it, and a lot of people walked by, Black, white, Asian, it didn't matter. They were just like, do you need any help? And I was like, no, we're good. Just please be safe tonight and keep an eye out on the businesses. Because if anyone wants to do harm, they're going to do harm. And you can, but the masses who don't want that to happen, I get more moved right now. Oh, I can't. I'm a wreck. I've been bawling for days because every time I turn on the news, I want to throw up and I want to fight. And then I want to, choke someone myself. Like I have all these moments, but I was watching it and I find myself more emotionally moved by people blocking businesses. Mm-hmm. I get, or hugging a cop, it pulls right at the heartstrings because I grew up around good cops,
Yeah.
And it's just, and Chris Rock said something that actually stood out to me. It's been resonating. And he was just like, and it's so valid what he said. He was like, and I'll paraphrase him horribly. I can't quote anyone because I'll make my own quote, be like, that's what he said. Yeah, he said that. Exactly word for word. He said something about, he's tired of hearing cops are good, and it just takes a few bad apples. And when he said that, I thought, you're right, because I've said that too, like bad apples ruin the whole bunch. And he's like, okay, how about you can't be a bad apple if you're going to be a servant to the public? He goes, just like we don't say for American Airlines, well, that pilot, they're a bad apple. And you still have them flying the plane. We hope they land. So when he said that, that spoke to me because I've been the one to say that. Like, let's not put all the babies in the bathwater. You know what I mean? Like, let's that's a bad saying too, but let's not put everybody with a broad brushstroke, just like we don't want a broad brushstroke every criminal or everyone that resists arrest. I don't think everyone that resists arrest or doesn't even resist arrest deserves anything. If they have a weapon on them and a police person feels, we have got to figure out a non-lethal way to shut it down. Tasing, you can tase someone if they happen to be on drugs, and it happened. My dad went on national television one year and when tasing came out, and he got tased to show people. And it's the funniest shit ever because he actually stopped, drop, and roll. He was like, and he went drop. He said it hurt so bad. But some people, it doesn't affect like that, But I was telling someone too about, we can send people to the moon and have for a very long time. We have created robots that literally look and feel like a female.
Yeah.
Creepy Creepvilles. Okay.
Yes.
We have such brilliant minds working at things that are so above and beyond my pay grade or anyone. How do we not have a brain chart, some type of test that can take anyone that's in a civil type of servant type of government that can have a gun, carry a gun, can impose their will on someone, a police officer, let's say. How can we not have something that registers their brain and can literally tell by whatever it is they're seeing? And we've done the pictures, and your brain lights up a certain area. We all have predisposition to a level of racism, no matter who we are. But like, you're allowed this percentage on the dial. That means you're recoverable. You have empathy. You've got this. And they algorithm it out. And then at the other side, if you flip here, you get to be in this group. And this group never gets to progress to the next group until they get past that. And it's impenetrable. You can't fake the system.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why we haven't figured anything like that. There's so much though we haven't figured out yet. Like
everything.
We had the civil rights movement, and then we went on your own.
Yeah.
You're on your own.
Here you go. Here's a great piece of property. It's in a concrete jungle. There's no beautiful green trees. The playgrounds are completely dust and concrete. And there's a pawn shop, a porn store, and a gun store, and a cash checking place. And they're in a liquor store. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Have at it and do good and be great. And have leaders come out of this that want to communicate and don't get into drugs to try to come up quicker, because
it's impossible. The system that we find the Black community in, for the most part, I think is impossible. I don't know anybody in my circle who condones any of this behavior or thought. Mm-hmm. I don't know anybody in my circle who believes Black people are less than any other race. I don't have anyone in my circle that believes that Black people deserve less or deserve to be oppressed or deserve this kind of police brutality. And I feel like that is the majority of people who live here. Am I ignorant, or am I missing something? Is there a whole population of people that I couldn't possibly know and understand that feel differently? I mean, I know there are people who are racist, who are white supremacists, who are, are those extremists.
Sure. Anarchists who hate the government, want to see everything burned down because there's going to be something better on the other side.
But this is a minority. I don't know anybody who wants the Black community to be in this position. I don't know any people.
And you know what's crazy though, if we look at this, is I wouldn't know anyone like that.
No, I wouldn't either.
Right? That's the thing. You would never know anyone like that. And the reason why is because
so then why are we still in this place?
The moment. I think it's because you've got people of color feeling so just full of fury about it, and so sick and tired of the thoughts and prayers, right? All of that talk, and so tired of it. I believe it was the straw. It was the straw. And then now let's go with the evil part. Because we know for a fact with the videos coming out, which videos, yes, the point of view will always, I always say, like, wait for your judgment until you see all videos, because it's very important for anyone to take a moment. But, you can't help but be emotionally charged when you see stuff. But when you see these 21-year-old white boys completely hooded up, covered to here with their freaking hammer and their spray paint can, I'm like, what oppression have you had, you piece of shit?
None.
I'm just here. Yeah. And then I love when I see a Black Lives Matter person who's emotionally charged, who's crying about this, grab that white dude and tackle his ass to the ground, and being like, two of the officers literally delivered him and went, he was just trying to break a window. I just want you to see this. And that's when I go, there is some evil. And that's when people can't dismiss this idea that there are infiltrators in this movement. There are people that are utilizing this as a catalyst for chaos. They are using it, whether it's in buses and droves and they're being paid under the pocket by what team you're on or not. We won't know unless when they get arrested. There needs to be a deeper conversation versus you're in trouble, you're going to get 30 days in jail. No, I want to know where you're from. I want to know everything about you. I would want to be a detective all up in their shit, because I want to know, how'd you get here if you live in Philly and you're going to DC and you're how? Like, what's the deal? Because once we understand that, then we understand. Not saying that we don't have plenty of people in Santa Monica running into the van store. And unfortunately, majority that we're doing that, we're African-American. And you have to go, well, because in that moment, they're just like, screw it. They're like, my husband, Doug said it. He was like, you kidding me? You get men who are 25 and under, and you say lawlessness, you can go and steal and raid and throw things and break things. And he goes, and the testosterone's going. Then you add a feeling of righteousness with it too.
And helplessness and
F you. I don't care about your little business. I don't care about that. Yes, for 3 months you've been shut down and can't feed your family. No empathy for that, because guess what? Because 2 days ago I was pulled over 15 times. So, you start adding it up, and there's a level of, I'm gonna get mine. And the two sides are, and I can understand it. I've not lived it to that degree, but I can empathize with it. I can see it. I just wish there was a pause. I wish there was a moment of pause. And the moment of pause is through leadership. And that's right. Back to what you're talking about. Yeah. I mean,
who's the person like Killer Mike who stood up and said, violence is not the way. Right. Martin Luther King, violence was not the way.
Right.
And, the thing is, I just got chill bumps. I want a plan, because I can't come up with a plan, but I want a plan because I will support that plan. I will support it. I will vote for it. Right. I will give money to it. I will march for it. Yep. But I don't have a plan. I don't know who to follow. I don't know where to start. And I don't feel
us saying that. We are saying that. Imagine being a Black person. going, who do I follow?
Well, yeah.
Right?
I think, and Mikkel said something that I thought was really insightful, my trainer. He said, part of the problem is the church is not involved. He said, if you think about the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King Jr. was a reverend.
Absolutely. And he prayed.
Was not a Christian thing to be.
That's right.
Racist was not Christian. That goes against everything Christianity preaches.
That's right.
But we don't have that element here today.
No, and we have a whole state. We actually have the opposite. We have, if you want to say we need to turn our eyes to a higher power, whether that's a spirituality, whether it's tree, wind, I don't give a shit what it is for you, but it has to be cloaked in love. And
yes,
whatever it is, whether it's Jesus for some, it's Allah for others, I don't care. But if it's cloaked with anything other than love, and understanding that the Bible is the most violent book, we know that. Yeah. Same with the Quran. And we can pluck things out of it that fit our, fit our device and what we want. That's right. We can make anything out of anything. But if you really go to the core of believing in something bigger than yourself, I think that is where you find some type of trust and belief. Because if you only turn to yourself, I'm the end all be all, I am the one that directs myself, I will fuck up.
Yeah.
I am human. I'm made. My wiring.
And not just you will fuck up. Not just you will fuck up. Your neighbor fucks up sometimes too.
Totally. And how you've been raised to deal with that, and how you've been predispositioned to that, the color of your skin, and what you've been taught about that, all of that. And I think that, because what we're talking about, Jimmy Fallon was saying it about, the root is so deep and wide, but the root is still there. And until people chip at the root, will only the root die. You know what I mean? But you got to know what root you're working with. You got to know. And I love open dialogue of all races, but especially Black and white, when there is a come to Jesus, if you will, moment together of we're the same. You know what I mean? Core of our heart, the beating. Because people are like, we're all the same color. We all bleed red. Well, and some have gotten their ass kicked to make that blood come out. And some have never had a broken nose. And some have never had to deal with it, So yeah, we may all bleed red, but what made you bleed red? I mean,
there's no common belief. There's no love thy neighbor. Thou shalt not steal.
That's right.
Not covet their neighbor's wife, whatever it is.
Totally. Yeah, whatever it is, whatever you follow that isn't love cloaked, that if I fall down in front of you, do you lean down to pick me up?
Because that's what you do.
Figuratively, exactly. Spiritually.
Exactly.
Yeah. You run to help. You don't run to hurt. And you don't run away. And I think we just have, it's hard too, because, my daughter with Asperger's, there's not a lot of empathy. Doug's same. The empathy, she feels it. She doesn't know how to talk about it. She's way more liberal than I am. I'm more moderate, like we've talked about before in our family. But my empathy, I show with tears, and I get emotional, and she doesn't. She draws. Her way of speaking about it is drawing and posting and Instagramming. And I just told her, I said, it's hard because I'm in a family of non-empaths, and then I'm the one who's bawling all the time. But neither right nor wrong. My way is through emotion, and theirs is through a different methodology. And I think we have a lot of people that don't know how to feel, especially youth right now. We're taught their instant gratification. This has taught desensitization. I mean, if Amy was out here, she'd be arguing me. Well, actually, Poindexter, according to calculations, people that are, it's been proven in psychology, desensitized. If you can shoot up a room and not think about it twice, you're a sociopath and you are desensitized. I don't know if that's because of games. I don't know if that's because their parents were ignoring them. I don't know, but something somewhere clicked off in the radar. And I think we're having more and more of people, which is why we're seeing a very strong youth movement with this, but it's destructive. Not all, but some. And unfortunately, I would look around and be like, there's a lot of little white boys decked out, their skateboard, banging stuff. I saw a boy trying to bash open a police car. He looked 12. And he was this white kid, the white kid that had in Seattle that had the AR-15 that he stole out of the cop's car that was being looted and basically set on fire. And that undercover security officer who dismantled that and got that out of his hand because he's a grown man, literally looked like he just bitch slapped that boy. He walked up to him and the way he held his gun was almost like Black Hawk Down. But people were just like, because how many people could have died at the hands of this young kid? And then I'm looking at that poor kid going, poor kid. Inside, I didn't want to say that, but I had a moment going, where in your mind did you think, I'm going to grab that cop's AR-15, which could kill hundreds of people in a couple seconds, right? However many seconds. What made you think that was a smart move? Did anyone whoop your ass when you were a kid? You know what I mean?
No.
Did anybody slap you silly when you said something racist at a table? Did it where's and it's not the parents, it's everything. So
what I had said to Mikhail, all right. Well, what I had said to Mikhail was the lack of churches in the white community also. Now, 100%. I'm guilty. I don't go to church, but I was raised in church.
I was raised in church.
I try and teach my kids what I learned in church, but that's a failing on my part. Sure. How am I an expert at what I learned in church? I'm not. There's no way. But there's no church on our end either for that white boy who stole the gun out of the police car. Where's his church?
Right.
Where's his small community leader? Because if it's not through church, where do you get it? Not everybody has the resources to be a Boy Scout.
That's right. Or go to the Boys Club, which keep losing their funding, which is what raised me with my mom having to work so much. Where I got, it was through the hard knocks, if you will. I mean, that's where I learned to be a melting pot. Because the kids going to the Boys Club, they weren't just white kids sitting there having tea. Everyone was like, we were just like ghettofied together. And I loved every second of it. Because it was real. It was real. Watching the kids play basketball, and then I try to play, and they're like, we got you. And being able to take that razzing too. There's something, and Bert would know this too, because there's so many comedians, I think, experience is that ability to razz and be razzed. Not everything's so simple.
Not take it personally and not make it about race.
Right. Where you can actually razz each other.
Or whatever. Right.
Totally. When my friend could call me a cracker and I would laugh so hard when she called me whitey, and I would giggle like a little schoolgirl because I thought it was hilarious. Now, I didn't say anything about her because, I know better than that. I didn't want to get slapped. Right. But there was there was permission because she knew my heart. She and there was time to learn my heart was golden towards her. It had no bone in it of judgment. There was no, you're my friend. So how do we strip away the superficial, topical bullshit and also get our kids to feel something?
I don't know. I think again, it goes back to having a person or persons that we as a community, I don't mean a white community, I mean an American
civilization,
can get behind, because Black and white people got behind Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be one person. It could be several people. It needs to be a movement that has a figurehead and a plan of some kind saying, this is what we want.
Right.
We want reform in the police department, and here's what we think that should be.
Right.
We want reform in education. I read Miss Pat's autobiography. I think I talked to you about this before. Miss Pat is a Black woman who grew up in Atlanta. She was very poor, on welfare, sold crack, convicted felon, went through Hillary Clinton's kind of, I don't know what her son was called, but it was a reform, I guess, where she got 2 years of 2-year education for free and free childcare while she was on welfare, and studied nursing, got out of school, And guess what? You can't be a nurse if you're a convicted felon. You can't get hired.
Great.
That's broken. That's broken. This is a woman
who worked her butt off, tried to become something.
At 13 was pregnant because she was molested by her mother's boyfriend when she was young. She thought her value was sexual. She got pregnant at 13 years old, pregnant again shortly after.
Sold her body to get crack because it made her feel nothing.
No, she didn't do crack. She sold crack to feed her baby. She never did drugs. She never prostituted herself. She sold drugs to feed her babies. And then when she started having serious ethical problems about that, she started writing bad checks.
Right.
Stealing people's checkbooks. Huge felonies. Don't condone that behavior. I don't condone that behavior at all. But when I read her book, I thought to myself, she doesn't have a fucking choice. If she takes another $1, welfare reduces her benefits $1.
Of course. It has to be off the books.
$5, yeah. $5 less.
That's right.
Never get ahead. And then they offer her an amazing educational opportunity to become an LPN. She flies through there, does fabulous, and then can't work because somebody went, oh, I forgot about that one thing. You're a convicted felon. So I'm sorry. You've spent all this time. We've given you all this hope. We've bolstered all your dreams. And guess what? You can't have them. That fucking made me so mad. I was so mad when I got to that part in her book where I thought, that system is broken. How do we excuse her felony? Like that thing you were talking about with the meter, with the cops, and at this point you're racist, at this point you're too racist to be in this group. How do we figure out how to say your felony now has an asterisk that says convicted felon, but has done these steps to reform, and now we believe she would be an excellent member of your medical team. How do we do that? Because that is not fair. That is the right way of thinking I think that's right. Yes, let's help someone, anyone, black or white, get an education and get in the job force and become a strong middle class if that's their dream. Not everybody is supposed to be a rapper or a comedian that makes a million, gazillion, whatever.
Yeah.
Not everybody's meant to do that. And that's okay.
Totally.
And how do we support not only the Black community, but every community in making that a viable option? Because so many people, like you said earlier, come up through the streets because that's the only option they had to get ahead.
Right.
They sell drugs, they strip, they prostitute, because that's all they can do to get themselves where they can go on to be Jay-Z or Miss Pat, who's an amazing comedian, and an amazing human being. She's raised her own kids, and she's raised her sister's kids and her niece's kids. She's raising her niece's kids now because they all fell into drugs and prostitution, except for Miss Pat. Right. And I believe the reason Miss Pat didn't is because there was several reasons, but one of the big ones is something else that needs to be handled in our system, is that there was one woman at her elementary school that saw her and went, this girl's not getting a bath. This girl's not getting clean clothes. This girl's not eating. Come with me.
Right.
She bought her a bag that had toiletries in it. And she had her come to school every day and put her dirty clothes in that bag. And that woman had clean clothes in a bag. And she did her hair. She braided her hair. And she had her bathe herself in the bathroom at school. She got there before any of the other students got there so that she could be clean and have clean clothes and her hair braided before school started. And that, I'm sorry, in some homes that's not happening.
That's right. In
some homes, that mom or dad or both aren't providing that.
Right.
So why do we then go, oh, what a nappy-headed kid, or she's gross and dirty? I mean, the teachers that she had during that same time period hated her. She would sneak in the locker room in her little kindergarten class and steal other kids' lunches because she hadn't fucking eaten. She hadn't eaten. There was no free lunch program like we have now. And the teacher, she got in trouble for that over and over. Yes, stealing's bad. But the teacher didn't go, why is she stealing?
Totally. Didn't want
to because she's starving. She's starving.
Right. She's not doing it to sell it to other kids.
No, she's starving. She smells bad. She's wearing the same clothes all week.
Yeah.
Someone needs to pluck that kid out and help her.
Right.
And we don't have I don't believe that we have a strong enough system in place that does that for enough kids.
That's true.
And it's not just about that. It's about learning disabilities. There are so many kids that have learning disabilities that don't get the help they need and don't have support from home. Every IEP meeting I have with Isla, every single one in middle school, they were like, you have no idea how important a parent on board
being the advocate. Yeah, because the kid isn't an advocate for it. They're just there like, what's going on? I don't know. I just feel weird when I can't read,
embarrassed, ashamed. They want to hide it. They don't know how to handle it. It then starts imploding their self-esteem. And guess what they start doing? Bad things.
They're going towards anything that's easier. They start being aggressive sometimes. And if we look at it true, then you've got families come from broken homes and the mom's working 3 jobs. She doesn't have time to look at homework or worry about it. Like, I'm glad I have someone watching you for 4 to 6 hours every day so I can make us enough to make rent. I mean, there's so many layers, right?
There is. There's the police, the problem in the police departments. Totally. There's a problem in the educational system. And there's a problem in the welfare system where welfare is not, we don't have enough things in place to help people build a life, enough mentorship. Right. If kids are coming out of Miss Pat's home life was ridiculous. And you go, how the hell is she supposed to know how to act right?
That's right.
There's no mentoring. There's nobody to say, if you make $100, you can only spend $100. You can't make $100 and spend $150. You can't do that. There's not even that basic mentoring doesn't happen in so many households, not just the community. But how do we, this is where I get overwhelmed as I go, how do we even start? Because all of these places need to be reformed.
Yep.
For the Black community, but for everybody also, because really, if we reform these broken pieces, it brings everybody up, right?
Absolutely. It brings up everybody. And I think it just explodes opportunity.
Yes.
It really does. And the hard part is that, our criminal justice system is so whacked as well. The fact that someone could be a first-time offender, selling drugs, and depending on where they live, the district, who they are, the color of their skin, the defense attorney at the time, if they were good enough, bad enough, wherever they are, will get more time than a pedophile.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't make any
sense. I'm sorry. Did you just say the pedophile or the child abuser just got off on bail? But the person that sold a $2 thing of crack is going to be in jail till said notice. But the pedophile, because he could make bail, is going to go buy a computer at Best Buy to go download some more kiddie porn. Are you kidding me? Dude, it's just so whack. And you're right. That's when you get overwhelmed. And what happened is, I think our society, we get overwhelmed. We just go,
I can't deal with it.
I don't know. Where do I start? Because I'm not going to become a criminal, a chief of police at 46. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be able to, but I can be an advocate for the voices. And I think that, and that's something that I think I have not done enough of in my life. I've been so busy. I mean, just trying to be an advocate in my own family for Avery and you have a child with a disability and just uncovering that a year and a half ago, really, for me, and then always being busy and this and that. But then, things like this happens and it stops your role. It stops you because you need to talk about it. And I agree with you. It can be overwhelming. But I think just even talking about it, and you have a platform. And so just us talking about this gives a voice to it for those that will listen and hear it from the two of us. And excuse me, people, it's not COVID. I'm just coughing. I got a dry cough. Hold on. Corona.
Well, the thing is, I do not fancy myself an expert in anything. Mm-hmm. I do not fancy myself I do not understand, nor could I ever understand what it feels like to be Black in America.
Right.
I would never, ever want anyone to think I know what's supposed to be going on for, even in what I just said about what I learned from Miss Pat's experience. I feel sometimes, do I even have the right to say that? Because I did not grow up that way. I didn't choose to be born white, but I was, just as people did. No one can choose what they're born to be, but this is who,
or where they're born, right?
or where they're born, or who their parents are, any of that stuff, or how many cats they have walking around the background. But no, I love that cat. But it's a hard place because everybody deserves a voice. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, sometimes you don't.
That's right.
Sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you have the right. You always have the right to listen. Always.
Yes. And I feel my job in this movement is to support what the Black voices say.
Totally.
Right?
100%.
So if a Black leader says, here's what we need, then I'm going to go, gotcha.
Totally.
Do that.
That's right.
But I'm not going to say
be a leader in it when I feel like my position in it needs to be acquiesce.
What we need to do, I think, as white people, is surround the Black leaders and demand that they be heard.
100%.
Because truth is, like it or not, we are still the most powerful race in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And our job at this point is to make sure an oppressed race is heard, understood, and action is taken.
Right.
And I think that voice needs to come from the Black community, because that's a way of us as white people say we want you to be where we are, and I want you to feel like you are as important as you feel like I am.
Yes. I want you to feel supported and safe.
Yes.
At every turn, and also fight the good fight of getting the criminals that do give a bad name to any race, right? So don't allow the broad brush strokes. Don't fight against that too. Let's figure out how to get Black on Black crime down also.
Yes.
Let's figure out how to infuse a society with more parental guidance and leadership and help. And not that we have it either, because, we have a lot of, single parents too. And I was raised by a single mom, until my stepdad came along and,
Yeah, me too. I was raised by a single mom.
Stepdad, so.
But it's not the same. And I don't know why it's not the same, but it's not. I mean, it's not. And I think people think we have the same opportunities in life, and we don't.
That's true. Absolutely. It's, and women, and what's interesting too, is that people will get real fired up about equal rights for gender equality, right? And march and hats and vagina hats. And I personally never felt oppressed as a woman. Do you know what I mean? Because I will be heard. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now I may be stamped as a bitch or aggressive, right? Or a little too assertive. I wear it well. But that's different than being considered a thug.
Right.
Right. A bitch is almost like, well, yep, that means I'm strong, I'm powerful, boom. That's the way you call me. Because if I was a guy, I'd be tough, smart, But for some reason, when we flip that switch and you say, well, okay, let's put a Black person there, all of a sudden, depending on the loudness of the voice and the aggression behind it, changes the perception. And I think it has to start with people. There's a lot. You have inner community that has to start too. There has to be accountability in every community, whether it's crime, perception of a people. That has to also work from inside out too, because I think that no matter what you try to do, you also have to see that behavior shift too. But you can only do that when I think a person's experienced not being afraid when they get pulled over.
Right.
if I am a law student or just going to Chick-fil-A to work as a teenager and I happen to be a Black teenage boy and I get harassed because I'm walking and I fit a description, which no shit, I'm a 5'10" Black 18-year-old.
Right.
Well, okay. Then you're pulling over everyone if you're driving down a certain neighborhood because maybe that's a gentrification issue. Like, I mean, unpack it, right? It's just, the layers just keep going deeper and deeper. But I will say the one positive thing coming out of all this is dialogue is happening again. But I think Black leaders are like, again, here we are again. How we feel when the white kid shoots up the school and kills 50 people.
Right.
They're never Black, they're white. And I when comedians talk about, when I've heard Black comedians, it's like funny because it's true. But they're like, I don't know why you guys are ever afraid of us. You need to be afraid of that white boy with his hat on backwards, looking at you sideways with his pasty skin.
Right.
That's who I'm more afraid of.
Well,
who's completely looks dead in the eyes. That is who scares me more than anyone of color.
Well, that leads me to another thing that I think is completely broken, and that is how we care for mental illness.
Oh God, that's a whole nother show, right?
It is, but that plays into some of what's wrong in our communities.
100%.
All of our communities is there's no mental health care to speak of.
There isn't, and if it is, it's either so hush hush. Or it's swept under the rug, or it's a broad brush stroke, like we're talking.
It's ineffective.
No color. That has no class, no color, no gender.
But
it is mental health.
It is mental health is another. They're just. I think every single system we have in place is broken.
I agree.
The police need to be fixed now. I think our legal system needs to be fixed right now. But all of it's not going to be fixed until all the systems are fixed.
Right.
And that needs some serious vision and leadership.
And unpacking and then repacking. And literally get to the root, dig it up, freaking cauterize it, whatever you need to do.
Yes.
So it doesn't get life again.
Yes.
The bad part, right? Reroot it, put it in it, plant it somewhere else that it actually can flourish, whatever that is, if we're talking in some type of symbolic way. But
well, I have to say, I'm really glad that we talked about this today, because before you got on the Zoom cast, I said to Halston, I do not feel good about posting this about makeup.
I didn't either. I brought this stuff out and I went, God, how are we going to talk about provide? Ooh.
I can't do it. I was like, I can't do it. So I was texting other people going, can you podcast at 1:00? And I'll just post this podcast later, because I can't just talk about makeup or not makeup, skincare. And then I can't just do that.
Can't pretend. And no. I just said this to somebody else, cause I've got to be working on email campaigns and social media things for the skincare and for the spas. And we just had this dialogue. I was like, we will be tone deaf.
Yeah.
Like we are deaf. And honestly, brands are having to really take a moment. Now, it doesn't mean that I, as a brand or brands, want to also get on a train, a bandwagon either. I'm not blacking out Provi's Instagram, because I also want to make sure that whatever I do say gets seen and heard as well. Right. So, or not blacking out something else because I don't know what that's going to do versus can we donate to a group? Yeah. Can we, I feel this energy of people and brands, specifically businesses, feeling this push pull of like, what do I say? What, everything we're talking about, but now putting a stamp on it as a brand. And, you also can alienate half of your audience depending on wherever you land, right? Yeah. It's why brands shouldn't get into politics. Brands should not be, it's why we have to stay neutral, but yet stand for something. And so for us, I was just saying, we need to talk about listening, being part of a movement of injustice, inequality, and make sure we are saying with a voice, we stand, we see you, hear you, we need you. But I mean, like, how do we say this and say it with love and compassion?
And I'm here to help.
And without any type of like, I don't like to follow the leader either. I don't like to like, oh, okay. Oh, that brand did that. So we need to do it too, or we're going to be behind. People are going to be like, why didn't you do that? It's like, hold on. We also are all running our own race, and not literally, but figuratively, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like I didn't want to feel the pressure, the societal pressure of like, let me say it like this. I wanted to make sure we weren't tone deaf and weren't sending out like 20% off.
Yeah.
Are
you marching on Melrose Boulevard? Perfect. Pull over to the side and 20% off.
Are you worried about sleep? You need to get your sleep. No, I can't sleep. I can't sleep because our country's on fire. Can anyone know? And I've always been the girl who's like, I did it when Avery was born. Remember being in the damn class? I was just like, no one else thinks this is awful. No one in this room thinks that this sucks. No, but everybody likes their nipples being ripped off. Do you
awesome.
like having big blisters and open gate holes in your tits? You do? Then I'm the weirdo, right? And I've always felt that. Like I don't believe in just glossing and going, It's just not my style. But you also have to be mindful of your brand. Bert's a brand. You're a brand. So you're absolutely right on that, saying
brand. I just
you are.
I feel unethical.
Of course.
Posting something.
Because your brand is authenticity. You are a brand.
I was like, I can't post this. I can't post because what was supposed to post today for tomorrow was our previous one. And then this one was going to be a follow-up. But I think I'm going to post this one tomorrow.
I think you should.
We'll just push.
We'll come back and do a skincare one, right? When things maybe are a little.
I think that's what we should do because I'm dying because I have my box. I haven't used it because I want to go through it before I open it and use it. But really, that's not the priority.
Not at all. Skincare.
Really, that can't be the priority.
No, that's something that, and again, like we can talk about it anytime because now that we've talked about this, you just let me know. Because I'm excited too to have you play. I also have I think I had her put some stuff for Bert in there too. Yeah. But I think that what we talked about today is why we're good friends, because it's the authentic thread that links us. It's why you don't have any friends that feel differently than you right now about this, because if they did, they wouldn't be in your circle because you'd kick their ass out so fast. You never even know it because the moment you smelled shit on them, you'd be like, cover that shit up, kitty litter, get them out.
Yeah.
Into the woods, my friend, because no matter how we were raised, inside, you have a moral compass, you have an ethical compass, and it guides you. And that can be spiritual, emotionally, whatever it is that moves you. And I have the same one. And I think it'd be really great if society actually took a moment and were really honest with themselves and healed from within as well. Like really just a second to go, have I ever looked at it? Have I ever said something have I ever been the one to go, or and make a joke at someone else's expense that would be seen as maybe being off the truth or off color for myself or against a color? Yeah. But you and I both, that takes a different kind of heart and an emotional intelligence and integrity that is very hard to come by when either the layer's too thick to get through because of predisposition and nature, nurture, and what you've seen growing up on every side of the fence. I think that it's what we're asking or wanting or craving is a mountain. It's a big, big mountain, but I do believe it is achievable.
I believe it's achievable too. I believe the mountain's achievable, and I'm ready to follow a guide. Just give me a guide. I need a guide. I need I need something to vote for. I need something to rally behind.
Yeah.
And no one is presenting that. And I'm not a politician, so I can't present that.
Yeah. And no one can say that either. No one can say to you or me, like, well, then be the change. You be the one to step up. Well, how's that working for us?
Well, the truth, what Killer Mike said is right. Vote. Fill out your census. Black, white.
Let us know who you are, right?
Doesn't matter. Vote. Fill out your census. This is a democracy. The power is with the people, but we have to be presented with things to vote for. Right. So you can say, vote, but if I don't have something I can vote for, some real change, some funding of a program, some movement that promotes change, then I don't have a voice because I got nothing to vote for.
What are you voting? What are you voting for? And can we see progression?
Then voting should be about putting the people in place who you believe will come up with these plans, right?
Right.
The plan is not going to happen today. That's the hard part too about all this protesting, is that I want voices to be heard. How long are we going to protest? Because it's going to take a little time for a plan to emerge, or a leader to emerge, or a plan to emerge, so that people like me who say, I'm on your team. I want you to feel better, and I want you to grow and achieve and move forward. I want that. How can I help? What can I do to help? Right. I mean, marching is help, but it's not change. Right. So how can I get behind something that actually changes? Bert, when this first started last week, Bert said all of his money from his live shows, which we haven't had many this year, but
right.
All the raffle money where he raffles off.
Raffles.
100% of that money is donated to charity. Last year, we donated 75% of it to St. Jude's and 25% of it to a local, it's called Village Arts, which is a local acting program for kids, and they have a lot of scholarships. So all of our money went to scholarships for local kids who wanted to be in acting and can't afford it. That's where our money went last year, St. Jude and this local community. Yeah. So last week, Bert said, how much money do we have in the fund from this year? Obviously, it's not that much because we haven't
live shows
done it. But he was like, let's give all of it to the Boys and Girls Club of America. That's where it needs to go, is the Boys and Girls Clubs. That's where it needs to go. Like skills. And I went, let's do it today. I'm 100% behind that. I will give money. I will give time. I will give support. I just need to know where to give it and how to help. That's it.
The programs. It's how do we have programs for kids to have an outlet? Because we can't change the parents. That's what I've also noted. We can't convince families to stay together because that could be bad. It could be bad to stay together. We can't convince people to expect someone that's 50 to change. How am I? That's tough.
Hold on now. I'm 50. Hold on now. Hold on. People of 50 can change.
I'm getting there.
Let's go 80. People 80. Of 80.
Well, the 80-year-olds are the ones going, what the hell's happening? This place is so crazy. Get me out of here.
They're like, what they're saying.
No, but I think
Revelations. He's coming. He's coming to take us.
I know. I saw people going, what book of Revelation are we in today? I'm like, are we seeing the Nile bleed red? Anyone? Have the toads started falling out of the ceiling? I don't know.
Not the Nile, but the LA River. The LA River, similar. To
It's scary. It's like truth and joking. But I do think that Boys and Girls Clubs are amazing, and I think also there's going to be some. I was thinking about too. Do we have opportunities also where leaders in the police force, right? Like I know that cops can get therapy, but not really, because it's almost like a faux pas, right? I mean, they kill someone on duty. They have to go get some therapy, supposedly. But how many times do you think cops going into a neighborhood that put their life in jeopardy and fear, or they're dealing with some difficult things they're seeing and watching day after day after day after day. And unfortunately, if it is in a poorer community that happens to be more minority driven, well, now day after day after day after day, this is what's in their face,
right?
Up against them, pushing against them, this kind of criminal behavior. Stroke whatever color you want it. But if it always seems to be that they're in that atmosphere, let's say, how are we changing their perception of a people if every day in their neighborhood, their district, they're going there? Because they're going to say that's where the crime is. Well, okay, it's where the crime is the most, because it's underprivileged. It doesn't have any outlets. There's no youth you can name all of it, right? Because there's plenty of crime going on the other side, just may not be being focused on. You don't have the binoculars.
That's right. It just doesn't look the same. And you're right. That's a really good point. If someone goes to war and they're inundated with shell bombing over and over and over again, they develop PTSD.
Totally.
So if someone is going into a high crime area that's predominantly Black, there are other crime areas that are not predominantly Black, but if that's that guy's beat, so to speak, he's there over and over and over again, then PTSD happens to his psyche. How does that change his psyche? And how do you deal with that? Do you shift their beats around? I'm sure there's some reason why they have the same cop on the same beat for a certain amount of time, because then they know the area, they know the people, they know the people, they know who he is. There's relationships. Build a relationship. But if the community that's your beat doesn't trust the police, then why are you trying to build that? Why not rotate in and out so you have fresh people, so that you have fresh perspective? That's a really interesting idea. I don't know.
I don't know either.
About policing.
Me neither. To that degree, I don't. And I was thinking about that, and what's interesting, if we really look at this psychologically, and I know we have to wrap it up, but what specifically I would say Black men feel towards, from what I have read, seen, witnessed, and heard, feel almost the exact same PTSD as that police officer.
Right.
Just towards each other. So if we really were able to peel back the layers, what they're experiencing is identical.
Right. That makes so much sense. I hadn't thought about that.
Right?
Yeah.
What they're protesting about, police brutality. You are judging me on the color of my skin. You are convicting me before I have a chance to speak. You are, right? A good cop is feeling the same way.
Right.
You are convicting me of being a bad cop the moment I show up in your neighborhood.
Right.
You are convinced that I'm here to get you.
Right.
And you think I want to harm you. I think you want to harm me. Mm. So and I heard a Black reverend say this. I wish I remembered his name. He was trying to break it down, and he was saying that. And I was like, holy shit.
Right.
They're feeling the same way. So if you just could get rid of that, the literally this line in between, and pluck it out and go, okay. That's why I think I get so moved when I see a white cop hugging a Black man. And there's just this humanality, this like, I see you. Right? I'm afraid of you. You're afraid of me. I'm afraid of you. So how about we just not be afraid of each other?
Right. And work together.
Right. And the hardest part now is this guy over here gets to carry a weapon by law. He's revered as the law. He is the law. And he can, if he chooses, to snuff me out. Now, Black men can choose to snuff you out too. Right. It's a draw. And the thing is sad is none of them want that. You're going to have crime. Listen, you're going to have the criminals. Like we said, someone wants to do something bad, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
A cop has to always be they're always on the keep. They're always watching, learning, because they've been trained that that's what they have to do.
Right.
More cops get killed in line of duty, right? Because they've got the weapon and they're the ones coming in to present the law and order. And if a criminal is going to be a criminal, they're going to be a criminal. So, but the underlying thing is when you have things that shouldn't have happened.
Right.
When you have people being choked to death, when you have, that is a different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I was listening to NPR this morning, and there were 2 female Black police officers that were retired, because I guess what they had said on NPR is any active police officer can't talk about this. But they had 2 retired Black women who they had watched him die. And she said, what brought me to tears was the fact that the police officer had his hand in his pocket. He said if his hand is in his pocket, his adrenaline is calmed down.
That's right. He wasn't
completely under control.
Yeah.
There is no reason to continue applying pressure to this man who is he was clearly struggling. Yeah. He had already de-escalated the situation and should have moved to another step. But he's sitting there with his hand in his pocket.
Right.
Like, this is just another day at work.
Yeah.
She said, that's what bothered me the most. Not that this fella was giving him trouble. Not that this fella needed to be put on the ground. Not that he was using force to get him under control. It was that it had gone past the point of necessity.
Right. 100%. It was excessive force. And for me personally, the reason why he's not going to get first-degree murder that everyone's going for, they have to understand the law. And I've read it and I understand it. They will never be able to convict him of that first degree. So he'll get off. We've had more police officers get off because of the crime they're being accused of, right? First degree includes premeditation, sought out, planned on. Right. You'll never get that conviction. And that's what the district attorney, that's what the prosecuting attorney said. We will not win that because you cannot prove the premeditation unless there's a text that says, I'm going to get me something today. I'm going to hurt somebody. I want to kill somebody. Or if his wife came forward and said, he was telling me he knew this guy and he was going after him. Different ballgame. Right. Could come out that he did. That's different ballgame. But to get him and have it stick.
Right.
Have it stick. We need to see all the camera angles, all of them. Know that there was no weapon in his pocket. See that he wasn't reaching for anything, because that can't be possibly. He was handcuffed. He wasn't a small dude either. He's a big dude. So he's not going to be nimble and agile, right? And for me, knowing that it's what can stick. Third degree, second degree. I don't know the difference between second and third as much, but I know manslaughter. I know that he could spend 25 to 35 years in jail.
Right.
That's what I know.
Right.
And I know that a lot of times people can be convicted of murder and get out in 5 or 10, depending on the crime and their good behavior and shit. We know that if he goes in jail, he will not live. If we know crime and criminals and police officers, it ain't gonna go good. And I hope that he doesn't get special treatment. I hope they arrest the other ones, that it comes out as an accomplice, because guess what? You and I are in a car. I rob a bank. You're in that car. You don't even know I'm going to rob that. You may say, I had no idea. It don't mean anything. Guess what? I implicated you. Now you're going to go to jail as something for something in that.
But, in saying that, he's using excessive force. He's got his hand in his pocket. Why didn't one of the other officers go, hey, man, back off?
I think they have that. I read this, but I don't believe news at all anymore. I'm kind of like, is it fake? But I did see that one officer said that he told him, hey, he's handcuffed. We got him.
Yeah.
Like, basically, you can let up.
Yeah.
But nobody pushed. Now, it comes out that cop, what if he's an absolute bully piece of shit, which clearly he is, but is a bully and was like, you don't tell me. We don't know. That's the part we don't know. What if he's a machismo? He's been on the force 19 years or whatever it was. What I don't like is he had supposedly 18 other offenses. You get one. Okay, maybe that was a criminal behavior saying he hurt me, roughed me up. Okay. You get 2. We're having dialogue and internal affairs is issued.
Yeah,
you
totally.
Get 3, you're off the force.
Yeah. I agree.
So I'd love to know more about Minneapolis. I'd love to dig in and go, okay, do you guys have a problem recruiting here?
Yeah, right.
I'm recruiting cops. Are you too afraid? Listen, massage therapists. We don't want to lose any. And listen, if someone's late all the time, you might be a little bit more like, okay, you're late. We normally would fire you for that. I'm just saying, like, if you have a hard time recruiting these days, what if they were like, well, he was excessive, but he was a criminal. But at some point, especially if there's something about a certain race that they seem to be, but it's the blue line. It's a code, and military has that code. Cops have that code. We have to break the silence too of like, hey man, we think you're getting aggressive. You're getting too aggressive.
Right.
And you need to be careful unless you want to spend the rest of your life in jail for a bad decision.
Well, not just you want to spend the rest of your life in jail. This is a human being.
Oh, well, no shit, right? Yeah.
He may have been doing something bad or inappropriate. He may have even broken the law. But
the person deserves to live.
Dignity.
Absolutely.
They deserve to be treated with dignity.
100%.
Not like a fucking animal.
That's right.
They're trying to tame. I understand that people are on drugs, that they have unusual strengths or impulses or whatever.
And cops get shot at. Absolutely.
I would never be a police officer.
No.
I can't imagine that job.
Nope.
It's incredibly difficult. I can only imagine. But at the same time,
took an oath.
There has to be dignity in how you conduct yourself on the job.
100%. 100%.
I can't believe that man that killed George Floyd believed he behaved with dignity in that moment. And
I would love to know what he was thinking. That is what I'd love to know. I think
he was a racist.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think he was
absolutely.
I've got a fucking black person. And I don't like that. It's very upsetting.
Yeah.
To witness any piece of what happened.
100%.
And not just for this one, but for so
many of the others.
Many. I keep going, what is wrong with you people? Right. What is wrong with you? Why can't you see the dignity of a human being even when they're on fucking drugs?
Right.
Even when they're sleeping under the underpass. That
right.
person sleeping under the underpass has as much right to be here as I do.
Totally.
Because God put that person here. They're on a different path than I am. Yep. And who am I to judge that path?
Right.
The Bible says, who are you to judge? I judge. God judges. And other than that, you don't judge. You can assess someone's behavior for safety or not.
Yep. You can do your job. You can move them. You can move them out wherever they need to go. And
your job is to serve and protect. Serve and protect.
That's
Keep
right.
safe. Serve and protect. What part of that? Who are you serving in that?
Right. Other than yourself in that moment. Your selfishness, your predisposition. And, listen,
whatever it was,
all the cops could say, look, if in certain situations, if I feel my life is in jeopardy, if they draw, because clearly if someone's like a criminal, aggressive, violent criminal is going to try to kill you. And we've seen it. Cops have been killed many times in the line of duty, but they signed up for that.
Yeah.
You signed up just like military. I grew up in a military family, but if you signed up for that, and with that, you've almost waived your rights to judgment like that.
I agree.
You almost have to waive. And if you're predispositioned to not be able to do that, you can't have that job.
Wrong job. Same with a teacher.
Totally.
Same with a teacher. You signed up to help that little girl who shows up in dirty clothes, smelling bad, and half her hair braided. You signed up to take care of that kid.
Yep.
And the kid who can't read in the 4th grade.
That's right.
That's what you
have the patience for. Or 10 years into it, you're sick and tired of those kids and sick and tired of being their parent. It's time for a new job. And guess what? People are hiring. After COVID, they will be. But yeah, and that's the thing. And some people, I think, but I was talking to Avery about this. I said, Avery, notice that we have amazing priests, right? There are amazing priests. There's also people that are drawn to the priesthood if their predisposition, let's just say they're a pedophile. I mean, it came out that there's a ton of them, right? And you're like, holy crap, I'm never going to Catholic church again, right? Like, not me, but you know what I'm saying? And you look at that and you go, isn't that strange? Or is it? So you go, is it possible that you may be drawn to a profession of power, control, if you have a predisposition inside you that craves controlling someone, controlling of someone's race, because you may be racist inside and you want to show them, puff up, bow up. So I mean, it is. And it's, and the thing that's crazy is that you wonder how many get into the force with a different intention of wanting to serve and do good. Mm-hmm. And the PTSD, the constant interaction, the constant may change who they are inside, and they may not even know it, or they do. Right. And what we have to do is start with the ones that know it. Because you can't change the ones that don't know it. Yeah. You gotta have the best.
Yes. But it goes back again to my mental health thing.
Yeah, totally.
If mental health was built into policing.
Yeah.
You spend 4.5 days working. Half a day you go into group therapy, whatever bullshit.
Yeah, you get to vent out.
Happen.
Nope, it's right. It's therapy. You get to, guess what you get? You get with this job the blessing of what most people won't get to get, which is you get to talk about PTSD every week, to go through the arrest that you had to make, the shit you saw, the being spit on, being someone's third parent, someone calling you to get their cat out of a thing. But then right after that, I mean, you have to be schizophrenic to be a cop. The next day you're being called to literally get the 16-year-old that's beating the shit out of his mother with a weapon and a warrant. And you're having to go in and try to be like,
but no therapy.
Nope, because you're a man or you're a woman and you took this job. You should be stronger than that. Bullshit. You should be stronger. Who taught you? Did you have a therapist parent? Are you no,
not even that. What human being on the planet can get through that job unscathed?
It's impossible.
Very few.
It's impossible. Maybe you're a patrol person,
right?
You're a patrol person in the mall. Yeah. Although that nowadays, if you're a mall cop, you see an action there, But no, I think that if we could couple that. We need a couple mental health screenings and the ability to identify a dial of some sort. Of course, that'll probably against someone's own rights, and someone will feel like you're invading their privacy. And I'm thinking, you don't get that when you're signed up to be a cop or anything.
I think that's right. And when you sign up to serve the public in that type, there are certain rights that you agree to forfeit.
Totally. And I think it goes all the way up, dude. Go up all the way to the chain. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, go up to the president, go up to where. Because I believe most people join any kind of community service of any kind. Originally, I want to believe that it's out of the goodness of their heart. I believe that every president that became a president had the intention in the beginning to do good by what they see good as. And along the way, normally, somewhere, they had to sell their soul a little bit. I don't care who they were. I don't care Obama not. I know he shits gold. I'm telling you, people, because they had learned quickly up the ranks what they have to do to shuck and jive to get what they need for the greater good. And that in whatever they think the greater good is. Right. And it's just a big mafia. So if we look at it like that, and we look at our civil servants, unfortunately, is like, it's a little bit of a mafia. We have to change the mafia. Right. We've got to kick out the bad and get the good, but we also have to make people want to be it. I'm worried that we're going to have people go, here's my badge. Thank you so much. I'm going to go work in an ice cream store because I will make less money, barely. And I know that I'll come home. And I don't want to get attacked because I need to be at a protest to try to protect the people protesting. But the bad guys who are trying to hurt everybody and hurting us and making everybody look bad are now going to attack me. And then I've got to attack them back. And
I know. There's lots of people in my neighborhood with signs that say defund the police.
Oh, I know. And it's like, in your neighborhood, you're like, really?
What exactly are we going to do without a police?
I saw Doug was saying the same. He was like, you're going to really hate that. You're going to hate that because.
Yeah, let's get out of La La Land and change what's happening with the
right. How about fund them appropriately? Fund them appropriately.
Fund them appropriately. And there was every sign I was like, what are you thinking? This is if you have the gumption to go out and protest, that's what you're going to say? Defund the police?
Yeah.
Really?
How about fund the youth and fund the groups that can make change? Fund that, not Antifa, not any white supremacist group, not far left, right this, blah, blah. How about fund the people that come with love and compassion and can actually try to make change happen? Because
on both fronts.
Enough on both fronts.
On 100%. Both fronts. The police need reform, 100%.
They need leadership.
They can't do that without money.
100%. And the same thing with why you're donating to the Boys and Girls Club. It won't be there if we don't fund these programs that will help create a generation of kids that see each other as mano a mano. Because that kid at that Boys and Girls Club has a friend in there that they played together in summer camps all the time with that will become a cop.
Yeah.
And this kid, whoever that kid is, will see him out and will stand up for him too.
Yeah.
They see each other's as equals because they come up. And that's what I feel like I grew up around.
Right.
Which is, I feel like that's why I can't relate to a lot of the hate on either side. I mean, and I don't know anyone on the other side, actually. I don't know anyone that's like, this is crazy. Now, I do have people saying, I can't believe what's happening in our country right now. Mm-hmm. And then the juxtaposition of that is, it's been happening.
Yeah.
Now there's just cameras.
Coming. The only time change has been proven in our country, in our history, the only time change happens is when there's civil unrest.
Right.
Civil unrest leads to change.
Right.
So perhaps as long as civil unrest leads to change, I'm all for civil unrest.
Right.
The civil unrest for its own sake does nothing except blow off a little bit of steam.
So civil unrest with respect to
with a plan. With a plan,
with no violence. You don't want to, I mean, how many cops died? How many people were shot over this past 7 days? We don't have the numbers yet, but I keep hearing about it. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So you and I don't have the answers, but we do have great thoughts.
We do have good thoughts.
I do.
They're not the only thoughts.
Yeah, no,
they're probably not complete thoughts.
Mine are not complete at all. Ever.
Mine, I am hungry for other people's thoughts.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to listen to Mikkel for the whole hour and not work out because I want to know what he thinks about everything, about all of these issues. I want to know how he thinks we should change this.
Are you going to have him on?
I want to. I should ask him because I really want to know because I'm not Black and I didn't grow up in the Black community and I don't have the struggles they have. And I could not even begin to pretend to understand.
Right.
But I would talk to him forever and say, who should be the head of this? What should they be asking for?
Right.
What do people need really?
And what does the society want, from people that can help? And
I'm sure Black people think, what are you, a fucking asshole? You don't know? But
I don't know about that.
No. How am I supposed to know?
I don't think so, because I've seen too many, all I can see is video footage because I've been stuck in the house. But I've seen video footage of this Black girl being like, don't spray paint Black Lives Matter. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right thing. What? You can have your sign, you can march with me. Don't deface that. Don't. And I go, good for you.
Yeah.
In my name. She said, when we call upon you, then you move.
That's right. I'm ready to move. I'm ready. Just let me know what I need to do.
Utilize me.
Totally.
What can I do? But also, being us, we have the ability also to speak up for what is wrong that we know intrinsically is wrong. We can speak up for that with them, but I'm not going to pretend for 1 second that I can speak to the troubles, I can speak around it.
Right.
I can speak on it and under it, around it, but I can't speak in it. Do you know? And I think that's where sometimes it gets it can get cloudy. And I think that that's where anyone that is willing and has the heart to want to listen is really going to help any kind of movement or cause, because it's about people feeling heard. That's what a protest is. And
feeling heard requires action and change.
Yes, it does. Yep.
Because if you say the words and we go, got it, and nothing changes, it doesn't matter.
Then it's deaf, right? It's stupid. Then it's a waste of everything. And my thought is, out of all of this, there better be some change because of all of the
there better be
and emotional tyranny, and just on the never a good timing for this, right? But just we've never had a pandemic like this since 1918.
That's right. Yeah, 1918.
Yeah, the flu, the Spanish flu. I just feel like, but what we're doing right now is I hope that what we're doing, just opening a dialogue, even with each other. We've never talked about this before. You and I never
talked about race.
Never had to. Never.
Because I don't think about it. I don't, and that may sound insensitive.
No, but it's because it's not in your everyday world.
It's not in my everyday world, for one, and for two, I don't see a Black person as different from me. Like, I think they're the same as me, not understanding that they're not.
Right.
So that is an unconscious lack of bias where there should be, right?
But I could see being a Black person be like, I don't need you to see me as being, right? Like, what I'm worried also, the flip side is that all the white people would be like, to every Black person be like, are you okay? Right? Because then if I was Black, right, I'd go,
I'd be like, fuck you. I don't
fine.
me like that.
I'm fine. I'm not a victim. And I think there's a fine line between, well, there's the authentic listener. It's that heart, right? It's my friend in college who was like, I got you. Like, I got you. And knew that I had her back and I was there. And it was never that I wanted to do anything other than just be around her because I thought she was cool and we had a good time. There was never any preconceived reason. There was no like, I'm going to get my points today because I talked to a Black person and I got my points because I asked them, how do you feel about this? And then I felt good about myself. Right.
I don't ever feel that way either.
Me neither. Like, I can't even imagine, but I could imagine people having that, like, I don't know. Your dudes. How are you? I can see that. Like, I don't want to be judged for being ignorant, but I don't want to be judged for asserting myself.
Trying too hard.
I don't know what to do. Jimmy Fallon was saying, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you want to be powerful in it enough to have the voice to help.
Right.
And that's well, then help me know what is the right voice to have.
Yeah.
Because you got my voice. I won't do anything unethical and I won't do anything that harms anyone else, but I can use my voice and I can use money that I can try to have, and I can use it for what we think will be the best result. Right. So that's that.
Well, that's that. So here's the question. When do we talk about skincare? Next time.
Well, I mean, you tell me. We could just shoot me an email with some times, and we can just whenever. Just give me, we can do it again, and then we'll go over stuff. We have stuff.
I know. I've got all my stuff. I've got my box right here. See, here's my box, and we just couldn't do it today.
No, agreed. And I literally was like, I wonder if we're gonna. And I thought we got to address. I know, Leanne. I know we're going to talk about it. How can we not?
How can we not?
We're too.
Simpatico.
Like that.
Simpatico. Yes.
So I appreciate it. I haven't had a lot of chances to talk to many people because I've been in just the whirlwind of trying to figure out our businesses and reopening and all that stuff. And this kind of stopped everything. Yesterday was the epitome for me because of having to board up the business. I've never in my life considered that, thought about it. Doug's never had to cut plywood to do that and was like, this is weird. And we both said, this is really weird. But just dialoguing, talking about things we've never really had to talk about in our family or household. But that opens up the dialogue more and opens up hearts. And I just pray that we can get some peace around this. It feels like it might be temperature gauging down a hair. I want the criminality part of it to go away, because it is diluting the message. And I do believe it's hijacking it. And I don't want that for George Floyd. I mean,
No.
let's not let him die in vain. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a movement, there's a reason. And we meaning us, need to listen and find that voice, and it'd be okay where people are at, where they're at in it too.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone ever to feel that pressure, because, I have that, where I feel the pressure of like, I'm going to say something wrong. I'm going to do something wrong. But I want to feel how I want to feel, because I know what I'm feeling, everyone's feeling. Yeah. But I don't know how to say it. I'm not very eloquent when it comes to
I
that.
think if you stay in your heart, if you say things from your heart and you mean things from your heart, I think it's hard to go wrong.
Totally.
Once your head and your ego gets involved, that's where you start taking the wrong turns. It's just if you say, this makes me deeply sad. Right. It makes me very angry.
Yeah.
It makes me want change more than I've wanted change before. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I didn't want change more before, because when this was happening before, I'd get upset and sad. But this, perhaps the massive movement is moving everybody, even if you're not physically marching, to say, okay, this has got to change.
Totally. Absolutely. And I do think that's different than some things that we've seen in the past. I also think that it's because we actually saw it more in it, it was more visual than a lot of things. Sometimes gets convoluted by what camera it's on and the angle and this. I do think that I'm grateful that person recorded it.
Me too. Very grateful.
And that was the point people were making too, is that what if they hadn't? We never know about this. And that's the deeper question. Would any one of those cops, they make movies about this shit. Would any one of those cops go to internal affairs and be like, we got a problem. We got a problem. Right.
That's a problem.
Totally. Or would all four of them be in the SWAT car being like, what happened? What happened? What happened? Exactly. Okay. And the only person that can really judge them will be God. I mean, at that point, if everybody sticks to their story, we have no proof of it, then what are you going to do? But
I think to me, how do we treat this with the highest amount of integrity?
Yeah.
On all parties, for the police in general. I mean, for the Black community in general, how do we treat this with the most amount of integrity?
Right.
Say wrong is wrong, and it needs to be fixed.
That's right. And they need to be brought to justice. And I think that not only that, integrity and urgency.
Yes. Integrity and urgency. Yep. That's what I pray for. Integrity and urgency. Let's get this urgently moved in a different place. That's more positive for everybody.
Totally. Well, hopefully we'll get to see some movement soon with more facts coming out and find out what the other three officers knew, what they didn't know, how they can be held accountable to whatever degree they can be held accountable to. But I do believe that all of them have a culpability in it.
Yeah, I think so.
Whatever that looks like, I don't know, but they got to make it stick or it won't. And then we're going to have this all over again.
I agree.
There will be the LA riots because people will be so hurt that once again, and it has to stick. So, all right, girl. Well, I love you. I appreciate you. And just send me some dates and times that work for you, and we'll unpack together your provide.
Unpack. I can't wait. Well, I'm glad I heard your thoughts on this, especially since you come from a military and a police officer background. I think those are really important thoughts for people to have heard. So thank you. And thank you for letting this be the topic.
I wouldn't have it any other way, girl. And I do think, and thank you for that. I do think that being from military and cop family has some different perspectives. However, I find too that I think I have the same perspectives as everybody else on it too. It's fucked up, should never happened, and I don't want it to happen again.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that everything we talked about, maybe we'll look back at this and hopefully sooner than later we see change had happened and we go, oh, yes, right? Like what we were thinking and look, this did happen. So we were on the right path of thinking the way it could be not solved, but resolved to the degree it can be,
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
go in peace, my love. Go in peace. Be safe.
You too.
Stay well. Stay COVID free. Or if you get COVID, make sure you're like herd immunity COVID, where it's going to be light and lesser. And then let's all get back to going to spas, because we all need wellness.
So funny. Last night I was sitting in my living room and I was like, God, I would love to go get a massage. What a terrible thing to be. And I thought in my brain, what a terrible thing to be thinking as the city is like imploding.
But no, it's the same as people. Listen, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people are like, I need to swim. I need to ride my bike.
Yeah.
I need to jog. Well, I had that moment of like, because it's a way to decompress from it. Because if we keep running at high octane emotionally, you're just going to burn out your cortisol, and then you're going to shut down, and then you're worth shit. Then you're worth nothing.
Yes, it's true.
So when it's time, go get that massage and know that it's not indulgent or selfish, or you're actually taking care of yourself internally.
Right.
It's therapy.
Yeah.
It's therapy.
All right. Well, I love you.
I love you too. Thank you. And thanks for sending those pictures.
Weren't they awesome?
I loved them.
The one with Doug and Bert kills me. That kills me. I was on Bert's. It's in Bert's. I'm secret time. It's George's 16th birthday, and I'm doing a slideshow. Aww. So I was looking through all of Bert's photos and found it. I was like, oh my God, I have to send this to Doug.
It was so good. Doug said, he wrote you back and said what he said. He was like, oh, this is great. Yeah, I'm like, it does look like that. You do look like that together. You guys are a cute couple.
They were a very cute couple. They had a great, I would like to say they still have, because I think if we showed up at your house, it would be as if we'd never left.
Romance, absolutely.
They had a great friendship, and it was really fun to watch because they're so different as humans.
I mean, like, bing, yeah. But he laughs. Doug loves to laugh. That's why he married me. So he does, and he thinks Bert is the cow's meow. So it's perfect. Not cat's meow. I said cow's meow. Don't tell him I said that. Bert will be like a cow, not a cat. Thanks a lot, you bitch. All right.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Love you.
I said bye.